Alright, so this is going to be the first video over Lesson 16, Section 2. It's really talking about the unit circle, and it starts to introduce the reciprocal trigonometry functions. They want you to define, in the very first question, what are sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, and cotangent in terms of the unit circle. Up until now, we've always done right triangle trig, where I'd use that some old hippie caught another hippie tripping on acid, which was sine was opposite over hypotenuse, cosine was adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent was opposite over adjacent. And I briefly mentioned cosecant, secant, and cotangent are simply the reciprocals, and we flip over the fractions. So for sine, opposite over hypotenuse, cosecant goes with it, which is hypotenuse over opposite. Now that's for any right triangle oriented however you want. However, with the unit circle here, you only have 4 different reference triangles, the way they're oriented. So when they want it defined in terms of the unit circle, it has to be done in terms of x, y's, and r's. It's the same thing. The only difference, instead of writing opposite, you would write a letter. So we look here, our angle theta. It's always going to be at the origin because the angle is in standard position. And we look to see what the opposite side is. Opposite is y. So everywhere that there's an opposite that you already know of is going to be replaced with the y. Your hypotenuse, we have the letter as r because that's just the radius of the unit circle, which is 1. Your adjacent side, the other part that actually touches the angle, is your x. So everywhere there's an adjacent, you would write an x. So take for instance sine, opposite over hypotenuse. That's going to be y over r. Your opposite over your hypotenuse or your radius. Your cosine is going to be x over r, and your tangent is y over x. Now once you have those 3, you already know the next 3 because you just flip that fraction upside down, take the reciprocal of it. So cosecant becomes r over y, which is also hypotenuse over opposite. Secant is r over x, and cotangent is x over y. And that's how you define the 6 trig functions in terms of the unit circle.